Nancy Astor said, "Real education should educate one outside the self into something far finer, into selflessness, which links us with all humanity." Now, I'm a big fan of Lady Astor as the next lesbian, but I have a hard time with this concept. Nancy Astor makes it sound as though you can get enough education to receive a PhD in generosecology, or read enough books that you reach peak levels of Jesusness and become a shining beacon of selflessness. It's counterintuitive to the human psyche to be selfless at all. And there are theorists with much fatter brains and much tighter pants than myself who attribute this to a theory of zero-sum game, which is the basis of most, if not all, human social interaction. So a zero-sum game is a concept wherein one person's gain is offset by another person's loss. One person wins, one person loses. What one person gains is equal and directly relative to what someone somewhere else loses. So one easy example of this is Rogers Cable loses 100 clients because their television programming sucks 7 shapes of dick, and Netflix, the cheap old whore of the television industry, gets those same 100 clients that left Rogers Cable in the first place. Rogers Cable loses clients, Netflix gains clients. Equal, relative, zero-sum game. Another smaller scale example could be, say you work at Taco Bell. When you work at Taco Bell, you give up your time and a little piece of your pride inside that dies and you'll never get back to Taco Bell. Taco Bell, in turn, gives up a couple of butt-busting burritos worth of cold hard cash for your time, and the allotment is based on what you are worth as a beautiful human being of sentience and unlimited potential in the universe, which is typically minimum wage. So you give up time, pride, Taco Bell gives up inventory and wages. Gain, gain, loss, loss, zero-sum game. It's easy to make these examples in an economic business setting or in a work setting, but really it is the basis of a lot of other interactions, whether it be video games, board games, even just your social interactions with your friends. Typically, someone gains something, someone loses something. Your buddy comes to pick you up to take you to the show that you guys are going to. You both gain each other's companionship. You get a ride, but he lost the gas to go pick you up. And it consistently works that way. Now, human social interactions are a little more complex and can't all be summed up in a zero-sum game theory. There's also the far less popular and far more rare non-zero-sum game interactions. This is where you do something to get a gain that by default also produces a gain for someone else, and in the meantime does not create any disadvantageous or losses for anyone else in that microcosm. So non-zero-sum examples would be, let's say there's Trish, the hot, easy blonde secretary in the office. Now, Trish has wicked double E's and has a wardrobe malfunction on a nearly weekly basis. You like Trish, and you give Trish a promotion because essentially you like having her around, you like the cleave-tastic nip slips that happen every now and then, and she gives you huge, raging corporate mega boners, okay? So the idea is you gain Trish as an object that you can look at and enjoy on the day-to-day basis. By default, to have her around more, you give her the promotion, which in turn, considering that the size of Trish's breasts indicates that at some point she'll probably need a breast reduction if she doesn't want her spine to end up all crooked or something. So that invariably helps Trish out because now she gets a promotion based on the fact that you want to see her tits more. Now, both of you gain. And then there's Ted from accounting. Now, Ted from accounting didn't really want that job anyway, so he could give less of a steaming shit. So concept is, you by default have given a gain to Trish, who got the promotion, because you like her boobs and she's easy. And Ted doesn't give a shit, he just happened to be around. That's a non-zero-sum interaction. Gain by default, no other losses on the table. Now, the important thing to remember in non-zero sum is you did not under any circumstances give Trish this promotion out of the kindness of your heart. You gave Trish the promotion because you're tired of going to the Sausage Fest power meetings and having to suffer through them sans hard-on. And that just so happened to increase Trish's annual salary so that eventually the boobs that are crushing her spinal cord will be able to be drained at some point. This was not a selfless act. It was a very calculated, this is going to benefit me act. And also, it just so happens that Ted doesn't end up killing himself over not getting the promotion because he's the kind of guy who's very comfortable with his underachieving mediocrity. So the idea is, as far as the common human interaction, they fall into one of these two columns, non-zero sum or zero-sum games. These are the only two types of interactions that truly occur on the base level of our interactions with our colleagues, our peers, our lovers, and so on. So where does the idea of selflessness, of giving up something just for the sake of giving it up because it's the right thing to do, fit in? Does it fit into the zero sum or the non-zero sum? And if you really think about it, the idea is it doesn't fit into either of them because it's bullshit. So are you confused yet? Yeah, me too. But from what I'm able to understand, it comes down to this. Humans are selfish. There's no way around that. Our brains are hardwired that way, and there's a good reason for it. It's extremely conducive to our survival to be selfish. And the crazy thing is, there's nothing you can do about it. You watch one of those commercials with the Kate Moss-looking kids with the dysentery and the malnutrition, and you end up giving $2.50 a month to Paku, the legless Indonesian stump monkey street kid, so that you either A, don't feel bad about opening that second can of Pringles while you watch the starving kids with the flies on their eyeballs, or B, want to be able to lay back and feel that you're a better person in tune with the stuff in the world that's going on outside your living room and not just a supremely irrelevant fat ass. But that's the point. Deep down, you're doing it for the satisfaction. You're doing it for yourself. It's not selfless, it's selfish. You get to feel like Mother Teresa because you sent the price of a cup of coffee to Paku. And Paku gets to have less lice and drink water that doesn't contain fecal matter for another couple of weeks. This is because the way Nancy Astor put it was to become something far finer than the average Mr. Go fuck yourself, I'm buying this SUV. And whether you admit it or not, the linking yourself with humanity is really just a way for you to sit around with your friends and rant on about how selfless you are and how you're more selfless than the next guy because you dropped a few pennies in a UNICEF box on Halloween 2 years ago and you went to Africa that one time and bought a hand-woven AIDS bracelet. That doesn't make you selfless. It makes you a pretentious asshole. And the newsflash for these all-loving, all-caring hippie assholes is that humanity doesn't want to be linked to you. Humanity wants to be linked on Call of Duty, a really kick-ass zero-sum game in which the rules are very clear and I get to shoot you in the face. I live, +1. You die, -1. I win, you noob. So for human interaction to work on the most basic level, there has to be a gain somewhere. Otherwise, our species wouldn't bother interacting. And the gain doesn't have to be material. It can be imagined, it can be metaphysical, as long as there's some kind of favorable outcome to you, whether real or imagined. Otherwise, why bother? And there are good reasons why non-zero-sum interactions are far less common and far less popular. It's an example of the situation where even the kid with a leg brace who can't pronounce the number 3 properly gets a ribbon in the Everybody Wins junior soccer game. Now, he gets a ribbon for effort, but he also gets a ribbon because everyone else gets a ribbon, because everyone wins, or rather, nobody loses. This is an effort to create a non-threatening, comprehensive, non-zero-sum game. But I mean, let's be honest. Everybody wins soccer or baseball or marbles is gaying up the collective human consciousness. You know that. Plus, it's counterintuitive to what every bone in our sweaty little monkey bodies is telling us to do. It's not enough for the survival of Homo sapiens to own stuff. We have to prevent other Homo sapiens from owning that stuff too. Because if we own all the stuff, then we get all the women, and we have all the weapons, and we have all the money, and we procreate and have the better kids, and that's called evolution. The human brain doesn't have a selfless setting. It doesn't have the ability to remove itself from itself and not do what is best for its survival at all times. You know why? Because if we were all selfless, then the first master prick who decided to be selfish would destroy us all and steal all of our pogs. So the next time one of your friends are talking about donating time or money or their genitals to a good cause, kindly explain to them that by doing so, they're bringing collective humanity closer and closer to global sociological collapse. And then kick them in the neck and take their wallet. It's for their own good. They're going to do something stupid with it, like give to charity and think they're selfless and then talk about it next Christmas. Then take the money in their wallet and buy drugs with that money. And then do those drugs. Because that's a +1 win for you in the zero-sum game of pretentious hippie beat-em-up Turbo 2. Selflessness is a false state. It just means that you put more intrinsic value on feeling like you're a swell guy at the end of the day than you do about owning furniture made out of exotic animals. In conclusion, just remember that there is no possible way for you to do anything for anyone but yourself. And that's okay, because no one else is capable of doing that either. So, selflessness is an illusion. Embrace the fact that you're a selfish little evolution rape monkey and move on with your day. Move on with your zero-sum game.